Hey y'all, this is Tia from Nail Dip Studio. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Again, my name is Tia and I'm the owner of Nail Dip Studio, an online nail boutique that specializes in shade selection for women of color. In today's video, I will be previewing 3 new fall shades and also showing you how to apply foils and gels to your dip powder. So if you haven't already, go check out my website at naildipstudio.com. Let's jump into this video. So today's video will be a preview of 3 fall shades. These are new shades. That is Mocha. The shade next to it is Interview. And the shade next to that is Send Nudes. Okay. I'm also going to be doing some foils, as I stated earlier, in the towards the end of the video. And again, just showing you just like different easy, simple tips to do some designs at home. And I will, instead of using the top coat that normally comes with your dip kit, I will be previewing the gel top coat that I will offer at the beginning of the year. So this right here was the design, that I came up with. And I thought it was pretty cool. I was just, again, I'm testing out products, so I wanted to really see what the gel could do, what some of the foils could do. And this was really a simple and easy design. So I thought, let me just go ahead and do a video so that you can see how I created this. So as usual, I will take some alcohol and just wipe off my surface. This is what I do to prep my nail before I apply the primer. I've already done my manicure and I'm going to be using step 1. Now, I've already done my manicure offline, and so now we're ready to apply the primer. And I like to apply a nice amount of primer to my natural nail just to make sure that I am dehydrating the nail and making sure that I'm prepping it right for application. I want to make sure that I don't have any oil on my nails, also making sure that I remove any debris. Okay, so now we're going into step 2. And step 2 for me is applying your base clear coat. And I like to apply a base because sometimes, depending on the color, that color can stain. So I usually go in with the clear base coat, and I only apply that product to the center of my nail. I do not apply it to my side walls because I don't want the product to be bulky. I want it to still be thin. But this is also a way for you to create an apex, a natural curve to your nail if you do not have a natural curved nail. If you have like a flat nail, you might want to make sure you try this step. And as you could see there, I was sweeping that free edge. And I do that because I like to make sure each layer has a grip to the free edge of my nail, and that's going to help you with lifting. Okay, so as you can see, one nail has that curve to it. This is how I create that sort of natural looking curve. And again, I do this on all 10 fingers. On this, for this video, I'm going to say 5 because I'm only doing one hand. But if you were doing your entire hand, both hands, you would do all 10 nails. But I'm only going to do my left hand. So once you've applied the product, your initial dip layer to all 5 fingers, you now want to just dust it off. And I like to use a little bowl that I got from the dollar store. It helps with cleanup, and that way you don't have powder and dust everywhere. So that's what I like to do. So now we're going to go in with our first shade. And this shade right here, again, is Send Nudes. Send Nudes is a beige shade that has a hint of pink and also a hint of a golden base. So it gives you a really, really beautiful, sort of like the perfect nude for someone that shade reference. My foundation shade is NW45. So if you're my skin tone, this is our nude. This is the nude for us, because sometimes nudes, some nudes don't flatter women of color. They can contradict or conflict with our undertones and skin tones. And so I wanted to make sure that I had shades on my website that flattered our skin tones and complemented our undertones. So again, I applied a very thin layer using step number 2, which is your base coat. And I like to apply at least 3 layers of dip powder, maybe 4, depending on my activities and what I'm actually going for. So I'm going to apply another thin layer. I like to let my nails sit in the powder for about 10 seconds or so. That dip in, dip out, I find sometimes it doesn't always catch, the adhesive does not have time to really soak and attract the powder. And so you find yourself not really getting the color payoff that you need. So I like to let my nails sit in the powder for about 10 seconds or so. So now I'm going to move on to the next shade, and I'm doing a multi-shade look. I'm going to be wearing 3 colors on my hand for this tutorial. Now we're moving in with Interview. And Interview for me was another shade that I selected because I thought it was really a nice neutral shade. And I call it Interview because if you're someone who is sort of doing virtual interviews, this would be a really good shade to have. Like, that you're on the job hunt, this would be that shade where you don't have to really worry about, are my nails too bright? Are they too loud? Is this like, it's very neutral. It's very calming. It's very sophisticated, very professional. So I like this shade. And so again, I just apply a very thin layer here. I'm showing you the comparison of what it looks like once it's been polished and buffed and cured under the light. Now we're moving in with Mocha. And Mocha, again, my shade reference, if you wear like MAC foundation, would be NW45. If you wear NARS, it would be either Golden Almond or Almond. I find that Mocha is a shade that is really, really, really close to my skin tone, and therefore it is a beautiful nude for me. You really can't see it with the powder because it's not complete, but I will do a side-by-side comparison once I finish my thumb just so that you can see what that shade looks like. I think that this is that neutral shade, especially for the fall and winter. That is just a beautiful shade. It is very, very pretty to me. So again, I'm just going to apply a thin layer of Mocha to my nail, and yeah, I'll be back. Now that we've applied our first layer, we're going to move into applying the second layer. It's important that you realize that I have 3 separate colors on my finger, and I'm going in now with the second layer. Starting out again with Send Nudes, I'm going to apply a thin layer of the base coat, and I am going to insert my nail into the powder, let it sit there for about 10 seconds, and I'm going to repeat those steps on all 5 fingers. I will come back after this clip is over. Now, one thing I wanted to make sure that I mentioned is that we're going to apply 3 layers. So I'm going to jump into the clip after I've applied all 3 layers. So right here, you see me about to dust off the powder. Again, you should apply 3 layers of your dip powder. Okay, now we're moving into step number 3, which is the bond. So now we've applied all 3 layers of our color to each finger. I'm now going to go in with step 3, which is the bond, and I'm going to apply that to all of my nails. Once I've completed that step, I'm going to move into the shaping and the buffing of the nails, just so that I can get and perfect my shape. Now, again, in most cases, I want to make sure that I let you know that if you have any, waves or anything like that, you can always file and buff those out. That's not a major thing, but you have to file and buff those out before you go into your gel or your final step, which could be the top coat. Okay, I always like to hold my file with my finger. It just gives me better control. And then I also like to make sure that when I am filing my nail, that I am just using the least amount of pressure, because I don't want to dig into my natural nail. I'm just trying to file the acrylic that we've just applied and smooth any imperfections out and get a nice flush transition from the natural nail to the actual overlay that we just applied. So that's what you're going to see me do here. I'm going to shape my nails, buff my nails. I'll let you watch this clip of me doing that, and I'll be back. So now that you've buffed and filed your nails, make sure you go and you wash your nails off, or you at least spray your nails down or wipe your nails down with alcohol to get all of the dust off, and to make sure that you don't have any additional particles on your hands. Right here, we're going to be using the foil, and I chose this sort of multicolor iridescent cheetah print foil that I will be applying. Now, I am going to go back to step number 2, and I am going to be using that on top of my dip nail. I have not applied any top coat. This is just the dip powder after it has been filed, buffed, and washed. Okay, so the foil is basically, it needs something to adhere to. And so I like using my step number 2 to apply my foils. Okay, now I'm showing you different type. You have the foils that come in the roll, then you have the small foils. These are a little bit more delicate. It's almost like gold leaf in a sense, like that gold. It's very, very fragile. But I'm going to play around with a couple of things just to see, what we can come up with. And so again, when I apply step number 2 using my foil, I use the thinnest amount of product on my nail. I wipe that brush off until it's almost dry, because that's essentially what I want. You don't want globs and globs and globs and globs and globs of glue or adhesive on your nails, because it's going to slide around and you're not going to be able to get that product off of your the product off the foil, and it's not going to stick right, and it's just going to be a mess. So right here, you see me pressing it down. I'm pressing it down, and then I'm taking my other nail and I'm just going over it over top of the foil, and I'm sort of like scratching it as if you would scratch off like a lottery ticket, just to make sure that I'm getting that product off of the foil. And then when I snatch it back, boom, you got a whole little design. And you can stop there if you want. If that's enough for you and you're like, oh, this is enough. It wasn't enough for me. It was kind of like flat. But you could, stop there if that's where you want it. So I'm going to go to my pointer finger and sort of do the same concept, but I'm going to use again, using step number 2, using the base adhesive, but I'm going to put it in different spots in different places. And again, press down, hold it, use your nail, act like you're doing a scratch off, and scratch, making sure that you're scratching the foil so that you can get that pattern transferred to your nail. And that's what I'm looking to do here, is just making sure that I transfer everything over and that I have, the base of my design. Once you rip that back, boom, you can see we have the pattern. The pattern did transfer over. Now, I am going to also take, again, a little bit of that adhesive, step number 2, and put a little dot down at the top and at the bottom. And I am going to, with my daughter stick, grab a small piece of that foil just to give some more dimension, just to give some more depth to the design aspect. And that's what you sort of see me doing right here. I want to make sure I have enough product on my nail to actually capture and secure that foil and make sure that it's not sliding all the way around and stuff like that. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take the back end of my my dot stick, and I'm going to use it almost like a roller, and I'm going to roll it into that adhesive just to make sure that I secure it, just to make sure that it becomes flat, just so that I can have a smooth surface, because I'm not going for a textured look, even though I want it to be 3-dimensional without texture, if that makes sense. Like I didn't want it to be lumpy bumpy. I just wanted it to be smooth, but when you saw it, it's like, oh, I like that. Okay, so I'm using my my little daughter, and I got this from Amazon. It was probably it was like a little kit, and I think the kit was maybe $4 or something like that. Oh, and that's another tip. When you are or when you're ready to sort of graduate into purchasing tools, nail tools, purchase the cheaper tools first, and purchase 2 different kind or different sizes or different styles by different companies. And the reason I say that is because that tool has to feel right in your hand, or else you're not going to use it. Period. So just little tip, if you want to play around, buy the cheaper tools that they have on Amazon. You will see them, test them out, see how it feels in your hand, and use the tool for different multiple uses. But just see how you like it in your hand before you start to buy like more expensive tools. Okay, so now that we've applied our foils, I like the position of the pattern. I like the position of the silver and the gold foil. I'm now going to add, I felt like it was something missing, so I'm going to add the foil line down the middle of my finger. Now, what I should have done, which I forgot to do, what I should have done was I should have applied a small thin layer of gel first, where the line was going to be underneath, and then place the foil line on top of that, and then set that under the lamp, but I didn't do that. But that's just a pro tip. Like if you want this to last for, let's just say 2-3 weeks, then that would be something that I would do. If I was working on a client, that would be something that I would do. But I didn't do it here because I knew I would be soaking my nails off in 2 days. So I didn't need, it would last for 2 days. It would last for a week. But I just, if you're doing this for a client, sometimes, especially with the foil line, sometimes if you don't properly adhere it to the nail, it will start to curve up on either end. And I find that when I put a small thin layer of gel down, straight down, and then put the line over top of it, it stays for weeks on end. Okay. So again, you see me, I just applied that little foil line, and make sure you move your products out the way, like your foils out the way. Once you're done, you sort of pack your stuff up just so that it's not in the way, because especially the ones that are a little bit more fragile, that are lighter, they can, a little puff of wind and you could have stuff all over the place. Now, I just went and grabbed my my lamp, and I'm using my lamp to set and cure my gel top coat. I will be using 2 layers of the gel top coat. This is I'm testing this out right now. I have a couple of products that I'm testing out to add to the actual site, but I'm pretty happy with the way that this is sort of turned out. I'm applying now a thin layer of that top coat, making sure that I sweep the free edge, and making sure that I am not hitting anything. Like make sure that your workstation area is pretty clear, because you're not going to have that ability to, per se, redo. I don't like redoing stuff. Sometimes you can just mess up your nail with like one little hit, and it's like, damn, I should have just moved this out the way. So always try to make sure that your station is a functional working station so that you can actually move around. Now right here, a piece of the foil came up. And what you see me doing is basically putting it back down, but just putting it down anywhere, making sure that that foil, that I don't put that foil into my liquid. Okay. And so now again, I'm just going to do my thumb. And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is Mocha. Mocha is so pretty. Ooh. But yeah, I'm just going to continue to do this. I'm going to come back and do a second layer. And then after I did all of this, I wasn't satisfied. I felt like it was still a little flat. So I'm going to do some spider lines towards the end. But I'll be back when we get to that clip. Now that I've completed all the 2 layers of gel coat, I am going to take some alcohol and I am going to wipe off my gel polish. Again, just wiping my nails off using alcohol to make sure that everything is cured and set in place, get off any residue that you may have. And again, I didn't think that this was enough when I saw it. So I'm going to go in with a second wipe both hands, and then I'm going to come in with the spider gel. I am going to use that using my dotter. Now, some people use, various tools to apply spider gel, but I am going to use this particular dotter. Again, I like this one because it has a very, very fine point to it. And I feel like that point is very, very good for just trying to create abstract lines. So right here, you can see that, and I'm going to zoom in for you. I'm going to grab the black spider gel. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take my dotter pointer and dip it into the gel. And I'm going to pull out a thin layer. You see that? Thin line. And now I'm pulling up and going in and grabbing a second thicker line. And now I'm just hitting little spots on the nail to basically like dot points so that I can actually manipulate the gel as needed. I can pull it up, I can pull it down, and I'm just zigzagging it on my hand. I'm not creating my pattern has no rhyme, no reason. It's just basically the way that it's flowing on my nail and the way that my nail is flowing. I'm going to then take that spider gel and cure it under the light for about 30 seconds or so. And then once I'm done, I'm done. So hopefully this video was helpful. I hope you will learn something. And if you haven't already, go over to my Instagram channel, follow me on IG, Facebook. Also subscribe to my channel. And if you are looking for any dip shades, dip colors for this holiday season, head over to my website, naildipstudio.com. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye.